Hi, this is Sharina with Sharina Shack Scraps, and I want to introduce you to my very first mini album series. I call it the Noteworthy mini album series because all these albums are quite simple. They don't require any cardstock, and they're great for beginners projects or just quick albums you can throw together. Other than basic paper crafting supplies such as the cardstock and your paper trimmer, your scoring blade, or your scoring tools and your embellishments, there's not too much more you need. Excuse me. I'm going to bring you one every month, and I'm hoping to have them all up by the 15th of each month, so come back every month and look for the next one. And the reason why I call it the Noteworthy series is because they're all quite simple, but they're also things that we like to make note of. We don't want to forget these events and things in our lives. So, with the first mini album we are going to make is call this the Frightful album, because we're going to make this album, but this album is also the same album. And I've been teaching scrapbook classes off and on for the past 10 years. In between the spouts of morning sickness and raising my 5 kids, I've been able to teach these classes, and these are some of the albums that I've created and come up with, and now that I'm climbing out of baby infant stage finally, for the last time I think, I'm able to have a little bit more time to share some of these with you. So let's get started with the Frightful mini album series. Let me show you what they look like. Now, this is the tag pocket book. If you look on my blog at sharinashack.blogspot.com, there will be a free template that goes with this mini album. The template looks like this. Hopefully you can see that. There's not big of glare. And it's just a free download, and if you don't like this tag top, you can draw your own. It's just fine. Okay, and just print that out on a piece of paper or cardstock and use, and that's what will help make our tag looks here. This album has 5 pockets. However, if you need a place for, say, 7 or 9, this kind of goes in odd numbers, then you'll just continue to add pieces of paper, as I'll show you later. And in each pocket, there is a tag that you can make note of, and there's room for a couple tags if you'd like to, and just share those with those around you. That's the original album, and I'll notice here on the front page that I used a tag as the title. This one is the opposite. The back side of it is the first tag, and I used the front piece that doesn't have any tag as the cover page. So either way, this is the one we'll have completed. I'll show you how to get all the way to the end of this one. This one is made using the Die Cuts with a View Spooky Time paper, which is available in stores right now. This is 2013. And I wanted to just make it look like a coffin and be able to put a place for each of my kids and their costumes and just showcase it for the year. So that's what that looks like. So let me think. Where do we go? Okay. First, we're going to start out with 2 pieces of 12 by 12 cardstock. We're going to score them exactly the same. So, first you're going to put your paper in your score board, or however you do your scoring, and score it at 3/4 and at 5.5. And then you can turn your paper either this direction or this direction for this project. It does not matter. And you'll score it at 4 and at 8. Okay, both pieces of paper will be scored the exact same. And you can fold these up on all the lines and kind of work through them, fold them back and forth so that they will do what you want them to do later, like I have done. So now you have 2 pieces of paper that look like this. Next, we're going to use our pattern to trace the top of this tag. So your tag template. Go to the top and then just trace, and then move it over and trace, move it over and trace, and do that on both pieces of paper. Then we're going to want to cut those out. Alright. I usually bend over a little bit more, so I'm trying to keep my head out of the video. Hopefully it's working. I have been seriously paper crafting for over 10 years. I started paper crafting when my oldest son, who's now 10, was about probably 4 months old. And I did scrapbooking as a child, but that always looked beautiful. But seriously started paper crafting when he was about 4 months old, and have loved it ever since. And more than that, I have found that I'm a designer. I have a degree in interior design, so it just comes with the territory. Okay, now that we've got those all cut out, you're going to do the same thing with both these pieces of paper. Also, so this folds up nice and neat. Let me show you here. These little tabs, we're going to cut out these, I call them little tab marks here, okay? It helps the album fold up a little simpler, or a little easier. And I just go about 1/4 inch away from each end, and then come to meet where the lines score. And then, of course, on the ends here. Alright, so now we have 2 pieces of paper that look exactly like this. Now, one of them you're going to leave, and the other one you're going to cut a piece out. And as you can see, we've cut out the left bottom corner of this one piece. And if you need more than 5 pockets, you will do this and cut this same piece out with each subsequent piece of paper. You can just set that aside. Then we can assemble the album. This piece on the top left overlaps to the top right piece and gets glued down. Now line up your tab marks, and I like mine to fit just inside those score lines, so I know that when I try and fold it up, it's going to fold up nice and neat. So we're going to glue that down. Get rid of my garbage here. And I've already prepped that, so I'm going to pull these off and glue this down. Alright, see how simple this is? This is quite simple, and it's a really fun little project. My goodness, there we go. Alright, let's try again. Trying to do this with keeping my head out of the camera. Tricky! Very tricky. Alright, so now we have this. Let's see if it's going to fold up all cute. How fun is that? Next, we glue it up. So, we need to put glue on all of the open edges. So you put a bead of glue here, here, along this edge, and along this edge. And if you want to, you can put a bead of glue on those, but these tags fit pretty tightly, so you might just want to do a bead of glue. Also, I would use a wet glue as opposed to a tacky tape or tape runner, so that when your tags slide in and out, they won't get stuck and not come out when you want them to. So you put glue on those places, and then you fold it up, secure them down, and then fold up your book whichever way you'd like. That way, or the opposite way with your knees will get glued down, or put them down with brads, or however you want. And that is how you complete this mini album. See, this one I used brads, and then here's the tags. I just did some stickles and things. This paper line is very old. This is like 7 years old, so I doubt it's in stock anymore. I don't even remember what company it was. For your tags, cut them 3.5 by 6 1/4, and then of course use your template to cut the tops of the tags so that they will match with the top of your album. Now, to complete this album, we just need to take one more step. The same exact album, but as you can see, we get to cut out these little notches, and then the gluing is just a little bit different as well. So, for this one, you leave this folded up, set that aside, then take your template and measure about 1/4 of the inch in and make a dot. Let's see, maybe I can do this with a marker so you can see it better. And then measure 3 inches up and make a dot. Then use your ruler, line things up, and you can make a line. Do the same thing on the other side, a 1/2 inch and 3 inches, and then draw the line. And then we're going to cut that out on our, this is our template piece. If I can get my pattern to hold still. There we go. Okay. All right, now we can go ahead and trace our pattern here onto our album. Yeah, that's not working. I found that when I trace mine, these are my originals, and then, sorry, when I print out my templates, I like to print them out in cardstock because they're a little thicker and it gives my pencil something to trace along just a little better. Okay. And then we go all the way along and trace them all. I'm just going to go that far for, wow, that one's off. Let's try that one again. There we go. That looks good. All right. When I'm done, I'll show you this last one. Then we go in and we cut them out. This is really stiff cardstock. And it will leave you the coffin look. Just kind of fun for Halloween and make all your cute little frightful notes to celebrate the season. Cut one more out so you can see. Now this one here might be a little stiff and hard to cut out because we added 2 pieces of the paper together to do this. And so it can sometimes, this cardstock is really stiff. Make it a little bit more difficult to cut through. Anyway, you get the basic idea here. Keep going and you get this cool little coffin look. Same idea, fold these things down. Now to glue these ones, they're a little bit different. Because we have these open ends, when we stick our tags in, we're likely to get our tags to poke out, which we don't want. So add a very thin, small bead of glue here along each edge to seal up those so that these tags will fit in nicely. Now to alter this tag, the measurement's a little different. It's 1/2 inch over, but it's 3 1/4 inch up, not 3 inches. On the original, this is the tag. This is the tag that's 3 1/2 by 6 1/4. Measure over 1/2 inch and then up 3 1/4 inches and then draw your line down, and that will make your tags fit just a little bit neater and nicer right in there. And it's all said and done. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I can't wait to see you all back next month. Now my tongue is getting tied, for a fun, another little mini album. Thanks. This is Sharina of Sharina Shack Scraps. Be sure to check out my blog, which is sharinashackscraps.blogspot.com, or my website for some of the newer tutorials and more complex projects that I'm making. My website is sharinashack.com, and just look in the mini albums tab for those tutorials. Thanks. We'll see you later.